It's like a billboard.
I got the kid.
This is a meeting of the Township Committee, September 18, 2017. The notice requirements provided for in the Open Public Meetings Act have been satisfied. Notice of this meeting was properly given by transmission to the Star Ledger, the Independent, and the Two River Times by posting at the Middletown Township Municipal Building and filing with the Township Clerk all on January 5, 2017. Committeeman Fiore. Committeeman Sedambrino. Deputy Mayor Murray. Here. Mayor Scharfenberger. Here. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I'd like to ask for a moment of silence to honor our troops serving worldwide, defending our constitutions, freedoms, and way of life. Thank you. Our first item on tonight's agenda, we have certificates of appreciation and proclamations. We're going to begin tonight's meeting by presenting the certificate of recognition to the Middletown Police Department's bomb sniffing dog, Tupac, for his retirement. This time I'd like to invite Police Chief Craig Weber, Deputy Chief Steve Dollinger, and Tupac and his handler, Officer Mazza. Please come forward.
Just when you think you've seen everything, congratulating the German Shepherd. By all accounts, this is super Tupac, I think is the best way to put it. And in all seriousness, we've seen demonstrations, I think everybody up here on the dais has seen demonstrations of what these dogs can do, and the sensitivity and the accuracy with which they can pinpoint, I guess, contraband, and now I'm hearing hard drives, right? Some of the dogs are able to identify hard drives. Anybody who's read the papers lately, you know that's becoming an issue. So they are such an important part of the police department, which is top of the food chain to begin with. So we usually write about how I make a 20 joke to the family, like, you sure you want him around all day? But I can't do that, so. With that, I'm going to read the certificate and I'm going to turn it over to his handler. So this certificate is awarded to the Middletown Police Station, Middletown Township, in recognition of his 8 years of faith. I think somebody's really sad to see him. His 8 years of faithful and dedicated service to Middletown Township Police Department and handling important roles such as security at Super Bowl 48, okay, in 2014, and the Pope's visit to Philadelphia in 2017. May your retirement be filled with treats, usually walks and naps.
It's been an honor to serve with Tupac for the last 8 years. He's retired, so obviously he won't be working anymore. We'll be out on the road, we'll be at all the football games, we'll be at Middletown Day, we'll be at all the functions, hanging out, saying hi to everybody. Obviously we know that everybody cares about Tupac, nobody cares about me. It's been an era for the last 8 years. But you had a good run, worked for a long time, but just like a person, their time is here. It's time to sit around and get fat, just like we're
Tupac was the first canine we had. Well, we had two probably back in the 80s. Deputy Chief Dollinger, Deputy Chief Morris had one, and then we went for a period of time at 9. We were very lucky. We got a grant from the state police and Homeland Security. We got Tupac. We actually got an SUV for free with the package. So it was like being on Oprah. We got a car and we did really well that night. In addition to Tupac and an outstanding canine, I have to praise Officer Madison, absolutely outstanding canine handler. And you know what, we never have a crisis scheduled. It's always after hours, off duty, and he is always available. Anytime we have a bomb threat, a suspicious incident, Frank comes out to that field on the first one, unless he's out of state. So the amount of training and commitment, grooming and care for the dog, and it's just a tremendous accomplishment. Outstanding job. So they, you know, it's very big. So
Let's start by getting tired of it.
What do you get? What do you get?
One more. 1, 2, 3. Great. Thank you. Our next item on tonight's agenda, we have a proclamation declaring September 23rd, 2017 as Middletown Day. At this time, I'd like to invite Recreation Director Janet Dellett, Assistant Director of Public Works Victor Lawrence, and the Middletown Arts Center Executive Director Maggie O'Brien, please come forward.
But anyway, as most people know, this Saturday is Middletown Day, and it is one of the high points certainly in the whole township. And we're praying, we're doing the dance of no hurricane residuals for next Saturday, but it's looking pretty good so far. And every year it just gets better and better. I don't think there's a child or an adult who hasn't come to Middletown Day at one point or another. So we're very proud. I think it's bigger and better this year. Janet knows better than anybody. So with that, I'm going to read the proclamation, give you a chance to Whereas Middletown Township is a 42 square mile community that some 67,000 neighbors call home, and whereas Middletown Township is a unique collection of neighborhoods, each with its own geographic flavor and historic personality. Together we form a dynamic community with a strong volunteer spirit. And whereas Middletown Township began to hold an annual fall festival over a decade ago to offer residents the opportunity to meet friends and neighbors from Middletown Village, Leonardo, River Plaza, Lincroft, and everywhere in between. And whereas Middletown Day 2017 will be held rain or shine on Saturday, September 23rd, 2017, from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. on the Great Lawn of Croydon Hall. And whereas Middletown Day, which is sponsored by local businesses, groups, and individuals, promises to be a spectacular family fun day. Highlights of the day include a business and community showcase, a food court, local music, a petting zoo, and a hayride. Now therefore, I, Mayor Jerry Schaffenberger, and the Middletown Township Committee, do hereby proclaim September 23rd, 2017 as Middletown Day in Middletown Township. We encourage all our residents to come celebrate all that makes Middletown so special. Now you want to give a little bit of background, a little bit of
Sure. So one of the biggest things that I know we all pride ourselves on is that Middletown Day is actually completely funded by the sponsorships and registrations each year. Maggie and I get a little bit nervous throughout the summer, but it does come in, and so once again, we're not using any residual funds from previous years to fund this year, so that's huge for us. But some of the other things that the mayor was alluding to is, we get bigger and better each year. If you come visit, or actually when you all come to Middletown Day this year, be sure to stop by and see Vic, myself, or Maggie, and one thing you'll see is we'll have a notepad or an iPad or piece of paper jotting down notes every year to make it a little bit better. We changed the layout again this year. We're hoping that this is like the best of the best. Normally I'm telling Vic, I need another box, I need another square, I need another vendor here. So Vic, as our landscape architect, is constantly juggling things around. He probably doesn't always like me this time of year. I need one more. But we got a little bit smarter from last year, and we maximized everything out. So we changed the layout. Our same things are coming back, the Granny's tag sale. pony rides, arts vendors, craft vendors, farmers market. We do this year have a 35-foot pirate ship that's coming. Pretty excited about that. That's inferior to that. And we changed up our shows a little bit. Not only do we have the free entertainment, the free music going on underneath the big tent, we have more kids shows. We have kind of dueling stages. So while one stage is being set up for the next day, there's a performance going on over here. So that's a little bit new too. So come by and see us. If anybody wants to volunteer, we can always use a couple extra hands. We have a volunteer meeting tomorrow night at 6 p.m. over at Green Hall.
Great.
This year, many of you may know Cindy Hershep, our PIO, Public Information Officer, passed away, and she was such an integral part of this day. And I think all of us are going to be pulling a little bit harder to make it that much more special in our memory. So it's going to be a little bit strange not seeing, Cindy running up and down those pathways and chasing me down to go over here or over there. But anyway, she'll be there in spirit, we know, so I think it's going to be extra special in our memory, right? No. That's right. Thank you. See you Saturday.
Our next item on tonight's agenda, we have a certificate acknowledging Middletown's 2017 Achievement in Planning Award. Our Township Administrator, please join the minute.
Okay. I actually had the honor of accepting the award at the breakfast on this past Friday. And the New Jersey planning officials is it's an old, respected organization. So to get an award for some work that was done here in Middletown for the Belford Seaport, or the Belford redevelopment area that we designated recently. And it was such a tremendous honor because you're competing statewide. And to be recognized is really something special. So not only is it a tremendous site with a tremendous amount of potential, but it's also really an honor to be recognized for the work that went into it. And let Tony tell a little bit more about nuts and bolts because he's the planner. He's the aide.
Well, we've always known that the Belford area, the Seaport area, is an important, integral part of the township, especially the township history. And but it's fallen on some hard times, and we tried to come up with a way to kind of revitalize that area, create kind of a destination, and take advantage of the beautiful waterfront that we have. So we decided to do a redevelopment plan to look at all the properties down there and how they could best be utilized. And much of it is utilized as just open space and natural lands, but some areas are appropriate for some sort of new revitalizing type of development. So we came up with we had a consultant, we got a grant from the state to pay for the study, and we had a consultant do a redevelopment plan for the area, and we had a lot of meetings with people from the neighborhood, the businesses in the area. The Belford Seafood Co-op was an integral part of it, and I think we ultimately came up with a pretty good plan for the future of that area. And so hopefully it comes to fruition one of these days. And it was nice to know that the New Jersey planning officials agreed that it was a well done and well thought out plan. And so we're happy to get the award.
I just want to add one thing. Many of you may remember, if you go back a few years, that it was actually a landfill just to the west, the east of the right, west of Okay, and to take a closed landfill and turn it into a destination area that's going to be generating revenue is a tremendous win for the town, for the county, and for certainly the people of Middletown in the area. So we're very excited about that prospect, and we'll get moving on it fairly soon.
Tonight's agenda, we have a proclamation commending the Jersey Shore Work Camp 8 In attendance tonight, we have Mission Project Coordinators Bill and Gail Bechtel.
I just got back from the club. But I'll let you explain a little bit more after the proclamation. But Gail and Bill have been doing this for years, and I'm going to give you my very novice description of it. It's a work camp where they get kids from, I guess, all over the country, right, to come in, and they volunteer and they fix up people's houses. It's generally, I guess, seniors and maybe disabled folks and people who are in need like that. And many of you may know that in Middletown, about a year or so ago, we passed what we call a faith-based initiative. It's the first municipal one of its kind. And what we thought in the Township Committee was, rather than have government pay to serve the social needs of people who need like this, it's great to partner up with nonprofits who can do it at no cost to the taxpayers, but still get it done. And this is a textbook example of exactly what we were shooting for. And I think it was a little bit of motivation when we first started putting it together, that gee, what Gail and Bill do every year is so successful, and it's so keeping in line with our philosophy. So they deserve a tremendous amount of credit. I'm going to read the proclamation and turn it over to them because it's a fascinating story. And I know a bunch of kids are going straight to heaven because when you see these kids, there's hundreds of them there. I've gone a few times, and it's just really inspiring. Whereas Group Cares of Loveland, Colorado, and St. John's Methodist Church has sponsored the nonprofit Jersey Shore Work Camp, 8th from July 3rd to the 7th, 2017. And whereas Christian youth and adults from all of the United States donated time and supplies to this week-long interfaith home repair mission project. And whereas work camp participants donated thousands of hours of labor to make repairs and improvements to the homes of disabled, low-income, and elderly residents living in the Bay Shore area. Improvements included interior and exterior painting, porch, step, and deck replacement, and the installation of wheelchair ramps. And whereas through this mission project they have repaired an average of 70 homes each work week, and in 2012 welcomed 1,200 volunteers for Hurricane Sandy relief. And whereas the Middletown Township Committee wishes to take this opportunity to thank the hardworking teens and adult leaders who came to Monmouth County and donated time and supplies to assist our residents who needed home improvement. And whereas the Middletown Township Committee also wishes to thank Jersey Shore Work Camp coordinators Bill and Gail Bechtel and all church sponsors and project coordinators for making this noteworthy endeavor possible. Now therefore, I, Mayor Jerry Schaffenberger and the Middletown Township Committee do hereby commend the Jersey Shore Work Camp for their years of efforts to improve the lives of disabled, low-income, and elderly people. Thank you so much. Who's going to fill in the blank?
I am. We represent about 50 local volunteers that are church members, family, and friends. And this became a dream because Bill and I have traveled around the country since 1989 taking our youth group to help other people. Then we decided, we really need to bring it to New Jersey, and we were very, very fortunate that people in the local communities and churches and civic organizations helped us raise $30,000 every year so that we can repair homes for people free of cost to them. So we're just basically neighbors helping neighbors.
Very good.
Most of all, we couldn't do this without the residents. And I would like to thank the residents most of all for letting us help them. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Very good. Thank you.
say thank you to them for doing a great job for the flowers on my daughter's wedding. I haven't forgotten to be able to get help.
How to get that plug in there, didn't you?
Congratulations.
This time we have the proclamation recognizing October 28, 2017 as Make a Difference Day.
You know what, I should read this, even though there's nobody here to accept it, just because it's so important, we're so dependent on volunteers. I need to at least read the proclamation publicly. Whereas this October 28th, millions of volunteers across the nation will unite with a common mission to improve the lives of others on the 26th year of Make a Difference Day. And whereas Make a Difference Day is the largest single day of volunteering in the country, everyone has the power to do something that can improve the life of another. Whether it's donating a can of food that will help one person or working on a project that will benefit an entire community, every contribution makes a difference. And whereas 1 in 6 people in the U.S. and 1 in 8 people in New Jersey face hunger, and whereas in 2014 approximately 68.5 million pounds of food have been distributed through New Jersey's emergency food providers, and whereas Middletown Township is committed to combating hunger throughout the township, and works closely with social services and other food banks in the area to provide food resources to our residents. And whereas Middletown Township will hold a food and cleaning supplies drive through October 28th, donations are to help support the Middletown Food Pantry located at Social Services. And whereas Middletown Township and New Jersey's emergency food provider system strive to bring awareness and attention to hunger and encourage the community to become involved in endeavors to end hunger in our township. Now therefore, I, Mayor Jerry Schaffenberger, and the Middletown Township Committee, do hereby proclaim October 28, 2017 as Make a Difference Day in Middletown Township. We encourage the community to make a difference and support Middletown's food and cleaning supplies drive from October 2nd through the 28th.
Next time we have a proclamation recognizing September as National Preparedness Month. At this time, I'd like to invite OEM Coordinator Charlie Rogers to please come forward. We have also other Office of Emergency Management attendees. Barbara Amadeo, Bob Bush, Mandy Flores, Mario and Barbara Salitti, Brian Zarubski, Marie DeSaro, Pete Dubicki, Ken Maggio, Bob Carhart, Jim Brucani, and John Cantwell.
How you doing, man? See you. Let's just hope we don't have an emergency, because we got a little bit. Anyway, I can't say enough. We'll be here all night if I start to vent on this, but Charlie and his team do such a tremendous job. Whatever affects us or impacts this town, they're ready for it. And we're hoping we're not going to get called on with this season, but if we do, we are certainly ready. Okay, whereas for more than a decade, the Federal Emergency Management Agency has proclaimed September as National Preparedness Month as part of an effort to encourage personal preparedness for emergencies, and whereas, as we pay tribute to the attacks of September 11th and help those impacted by Hurricanes Harvey and Irma, we are reminded of the importance of the need for disaster preparedness. And whereas the U.S. Department of Homeland Security, local officials, and other federal, state, and county offices, as well as the private sector, are working to deter, prevent, and respond to all types of emergencies, including human-made threats and natural disasters. And whereas these activities, along with programs like Citizens Corps and others, contribute to a level of community unity and preparedness that is critical to securing our community, county, state, and nation. And whereas Middletown Township and the Office of Emergency Management encourage our residents to take personal responsibility to become informed and prepared to be self-sufficient until assistance can arrive. Preparedness includes maintaining a preparedness kit, having an emergency plan, and making a commitment to practice that plan with their family periodically. Now therefore, I, Mayor Jerry Schaffenberger, and the Middletown Township Committee do hereby recognize September 2017 as National Preparedness Month in Middletown Township. We encourage all citizens to educate themselves about preparedness as a way to improve community resilience during emergencies. Thank you, everybody.
This is a good month, the way the storms are coming up and down the coast. We really should be prepared.
Let Herman wants to stand in the back.
Okay. Oh, yeah, wow. 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
Oh, everybody up. Take a comment.
Get them all?
The next item on tonight's agenda is the proclamation recognizing September 2017 as Childhood Cancer Awareness Month.
I'm kind of surprised that he's not here because I just got an invitation to a fundraiser for childhood cancer, right? It's coming up in October. So it's amazing. I mean, some of these kids who are affected by cancer, they're running around with pigtails and everything, and it's hard to believe what some of these kids go through. And not really, a lot of them, survive it. Disease goes into remission, but not all are so lucky. So it's really important that we support this and always, make sure that people are aware of what's out there and what's affecting young people. Whereas September of each year is recognized as Childhood Cancer Awareness Month throughout the nation, and whereas every school day, 46 children or 2 classrooms of students will be diagnosed with cancer, 7 of them will die. And whereas more than 40,000 children undergo treatment for cancer each year, and whereas in the past 25 years, the FDA has initially approved only 3 new drugs for any childhood cancer. Whereas less than 5% of the federal government's total funding for cancer research is dedicated to childhood cancers, and only about 3% of the funds raised for the National Cancer Institute go directly to pediatric cancer research. And whereas Middletown Township is dedicated to educating and mobilizing people about the critical need for funding for pediatric cancer research. And therefore, I, Mayor Jerry Schaffenberg, and the Middletown Township Committee, do hereby proclaim September 2017 and each September going forward as Childhood Cancer Awareness Month in Middletown Township in order to help raise awareness of pediatric cancer and its victims.
Our final proclamation for tonight, we have the proclamation recognizing October as National Substance Abuse Prevention Month. This time I'd like to invite Crossroads Municipal Alliance Coordinator Fern Foster and the Municipal Alliance for Prevention of Substance Abuse Chairman, Robert Butler, please come forward.
This is all home week for me because we just had an alliance meeting on Saturday and then I ran into Fern and ShopRite, so she's getting sick of seeing me, I'm sure. But substance abuse, what more can you say that hasn't been said? It's an epidemic across the country. We're not immune to it here, as bucolic and wonderful as the community is that we live in. It doesn't escape the scourge of this horrible epidemic that we're facing here. But the good news is Middletown's been very proactive. In fact, for years before it really exploded on the national scene, with a very active municipal drug and alcohol alliance, which I've been a part of for, I guess, almost 15 years now. Well, I've been firm since the very beginning, I think. So we have some great programs here. We have Project Plus, which is something that the 5th graders go through. My kids both went through it. And we're doing everything we can to get ahead of the curve with this. But, you know, unfortunately, it still does touch people, and it touches people from the very wealthiest among us, some folks on Kingston River Road, I should say, to the working class areas and everything in between. So the good news is that we're doing everything we can here. We do have an effective group. Whereas in 2011, the first presidential proclamation designating October as National Substance Abuse Prevention Month was issued to pay tribute to those working to prevent substance abuse in our communities and to rededicate ourselves to building a safer, drug-free America. And whereas substance abuse touches all aspects of our communities and contributes to an estimated $193 billion in crime, health, and lost productivity costs. And whereas young Americans aged 12 to 20 account for 11% of the country's monthly alcohol consumption. And whereas through community-based efforts, we can strengthen the support systems that deter our nation's young people from drug consumption and improve both academic performance and workforce readiness. And whereas each dollar invested in an evidence-based prevention program can reduce costs related to substance use disorders by an average of $18, and whereas in an effort to dispel myths that young people have about underage drinking and drug use, Middletown Township's Municipal Alliance for the Prevention of Substance Abuse and Crossroads at the Lincroft Annex partner with local law enforcement, health providers, businesses, schools, colleges, parents, and youth to educate the community. Now therefore, I, Mayor Jerry Schaffenberger, and the Middletown Township Committee do hereby proclaim the month of October 2017 as National Substance Abuse Prevention Month in Middletown, and call upon the people of Middletown to observe this month with appropriate programs and activities and family discussions. And thank you, too, for everything you do and have done in the past.
Okay, I just want to say, although October is labeled as Prevention Month, thanks to the administration, mayor, and the township committee, every day in Middletown is Prevention Day. We have counselors, we have programs, everything that's free to Middletown residents. We're lucky enough to get grant money that still is subsidized by the township, as well as other funding for treatment services. And I hope none of you ever need our treatment services, but if you do, please feel free to call the office and somebody will help you as soon as possible.
Or if you know someone.
Yes.
There'll be a lot of referrals out there.
Now, just to add to what the mayor said, the reason why we're so successful is because of our membership. We're all volunteers. We meet every month. We discuss what's going on in town, what's going on in the county, what's going on in the state and in the country with drug abuse. It's devastating. You have no idea unless you really get in touch with it. And I got to give a shout out to the chief. He's always there every month, giving us statistics on what's going on in town and how the police department is saving lives with this mark here. So they're doing a terrific job for this town. So, like Fern said, if you ever need anything, just give us a call. Services are free. Suggestions are free. You can talk to anybody you want, and they'll help you out any way they can.
Just try to get complaints.
Right.
can start as long as I don't have to say preparedness one more time.
Moving forward with the business items on tonight's agenda, we have the Township Committee meeting minutes for approval from May 15, 2017 regular meeting, the June 5, 2017 executive session meeting, and the June 5, 2017 workshop meeting.
Move for approval?
Second. Committeeman Fury.
Yes.
Committeeman Estelle.
Yes.
Committeeman Sedambrino.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Murray. Yes. Mayor Schaffner.
Yes.
Motion carries to adopt the minutes. On tonight's agenda, we do not have any public hearings or introductions of ordinances. We're going to move forward with our next portion. Did you want to start with At this time, we have a consent agenda, which would include resolutions 17-235 through 17-245, including legal route applications, and removing resolution 17-241 for a separate vote.
Move for adoption.
Second. Committeeman Fury.
Yes.
Committeeman Estelle.
Yes.
Committeeman Sedambrino.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Murray. Yes. Mayor Schaffner.
Yes.
Motion carries to adopt the consent agenda.
Okay. You want to introduce it from
Okay, at this time, we have resolution 17-241, a resolution authorizing award of contract for municipal solid waste and recycling services.
Okay, we're going to break with tradition as far as consent agendas and adopting resolution, and ask if there's anyone who would like to speak to this resolution before we vote on it. We thought it would be fair if there were anybody here particularly interested in that, if they want to comment. Okay. Okay.
I just need to know, we need a motion.
Okay, if you want to speak, you have to come up. Yeah, and just give your name and address.
Solid waste.
Yeah. Yeah, if you don't mind, just give your name and address.
Regina Macwoods, 47 Foxwoods Run, Middletown, New Jersey. I apologize for coming late to the party, but the first I heard of this was today on some social media, and after the fact, there was no link on the agenda meeting minutes to see what the ordinance was about at all.
It's not an ordinance. It's a resolution, yeah.
So I know nothing about it. A lot of people, the feedback that I'm getting is the same thing, is what does this really mean? And people are throwing out dollar figures of what they pay for the year, but it's not just, who's going to pick up my trash? I found out today by calling the municipal office that it's, okay, so you're going to give out garbage cans, everybody has to say garbage can. Who's going to pay for that $95 garbage can? Then there's the recycle. So this was the information, so a lot of people are saying, yeah, sure, it doesn't matter to me, it's not going to bother me, I only pay $70 a quarter, but there's going to be costs involved in implementing this plan that I don't think the public knows about.
You know what, I'm going to have Tony explain it because he's a little more familiar with the actual nuts and bolts of it. But in general, this is something that, we have to do every few years because we have a garbage
I
contract.
understand, every 5 years it comes up
Yeah.
for a bid.
And this is not something that we particularly sought to do. It's the numbers that are dictating this,
Well, but my basic question is,
you've had some sessions, you've entertained some bids from contractors and such. Is that
haven't voted yet, tonight would be the vote.
right? And that much I understand as well, that the general population should not call, and has not called the municipal office to find out actually the details, because then the public is invited to some of your sessions where they can find out some of this information. What are your concerns? What are the options that you're going to be asking of these contractors? And then there's obviously costs involved, but then it's also, so if you pick one provider through all of Middletown, 40 square miles, and if that person, that company cannot provide adequate service, then is the plan to allow them to outsource? So then we're still going to have 5, 6, 7 contractors. So you don't have to answer every single my question here, but where can the public find this information? Because, I just happened to find this out at the last minute, and there's a lot of people in the township that are in the same situation.
Yeah, I think the administrator will get into that. I think part of to the mayor's point, we did a duplicate bid, right? Which is what we do pretty much every time when we do the bids, to do a cost benefit analysis every 5 years. So the bids just came back in August, right? August 23rd, I think the bids were open, if I'm not mistaken. So that's when we did the district option and the townwide option, recycling for the whole town, which is mandated. So the administrator will get into that, but the reason that will get more public.
Let's explain the situation, so, because most people probably don't even know the arrangement that Middletown has. Middletown's kind of rare for municipalities in New Jersey, in that most municipalities, either their garbage collection is done through the municipality, or entirely, of course, contracted out entirely. So in Middletown's case, and this goes back to history in the 1960s, Middletown created areas known as a garbage district. And so portions of the town had their trash collected by a contractor hired by the township. Roughly it's about 2/3 of the town. About 1/3 of the town was left on their own, where they just would contract on their own to provide the service. That's an unusual arrangement. Then in the late 1980s, when recycling became mandatory, instead of doing it through that same system, the township created, or essentially established a recycling program, which was paid for through the budget. So everyone, some piece of your taxes goes to pay for the cost of recyclable collection, and that whole process. So what we've struggled with over the years is that people in town, when it comes to their trash, were treated somewhat differently. And some people privately will pay, maybe more than it would cost if it was done township-wide, some pay less. So when our last contract expired, we said, well, let's go out for a proposal to include the entire township in the garbage contract to see what it would do to the pricing. Because it was an economy of scale with such a big change, it might reduce and lower costs overall. And that's exactly what happened. So the result is that by having everyone within quote-unquote a garbage district, the entire town within a garbage district, the costs are lower for everyone, even for most people who have private collection. And based upon the numbers we've run, 86% of homeowners in the township will have a reduction in their costs.
So what you're saying is 1/3 of Middletown had to have private haulers,
Yes.
and the other 2/3 had one hauler? So
No,
Yes.
the 2/3 had one hauler that the township would contract with each year.
Right.
The other remaining third, it could be any one of half a dozen or more contractors that the individual homeowners would contract.
And one other important point that Tony hit is recycling is already collected townwide by one contractor or by the township. That's unchanged.
I don't get a rebate for this
but you're paying for it regardless, and you pay for schools regardless of whether it's
So
children.
come back to Brett too, right, so I've come to this party, I missed these preliminary meetings that I may have been able to contribute. And, again, Middletown is 40 square miles, and we have just a small number of people representing 67,000 people and trying to figure out what their needs are, because my needs in Fox Hill may not be the same as someone else in the township. And
I know you're addressing a lot of issues that people have brought up, like I don't want truck after truck after truck every single day.
Incentives.
You know?
Incentives.
Well, so let's
But that's like
continue.
saying, I don't want cars driving in front of my house, I don't want the UPS
No, it's not like
truck
that, it's not
driving
like
in front of my
that.
house.
No, it isn't like that because we can't control that. This contract does control that. What happens now is that the trash can be collected 6 days a week, right, Monday through Saturday, okay? This contract now moves everything to Monday through Friday, so there'll be no more Saturday trash trucks in people's neighborhoods. There will be one company that will provide the service township-wide for trash and for recycling. The other thing that happens is there's 2 additional recycling collections within the garbage district now because they get 2 a month. Now they'll be every 2 weeks, so there'll be 2 more. And the other thing, the people outside of the district, like yourself, don't have a bulk collection option. If you do, you have to pay a premium if you want someone to take bulk, or you have to take it away yourself. This will come with now 2 bulk collections per month. So the idea was that we were able to create a system where 86% of people save the money and provide a better service than most people are getting now. So it's pretty hard to argue that you shouldn't do that.
But it's bigger than that, okay?
Well, again, I'm coming back to the
Can I
fact
just-
that how to get this information out to the people who are affected, who are people who, may see an increase in.
So you're right, and the reason that there's reasons why, and we will have, if we make this vote tonight and we make a change, we will have to do a tremendous education process. There's no doubt about that. The reason why, whether you came to meetings in August, July, whenever the bids were out, we didn't have bid numbers here, right? And going to the public and saying, well, what are your thoughts on it, then creates an open kind of bids in public, which then affect the bid prices. You can guarantee that the contract prices would then go up for township recycling and or, right, so you can't, right, correct, so.
The fact that you're going to propose going to.
I get it, yeah, I get that, and believe me, it's a decision that, kind of, what we're faced with, and there's reasons and decisions in terms of what's going on in Florida and Texas, in terms of trucks, and a whole host of other reasons that the attorney, I'm sure, can fill you in on. But really, the reality is this. I think it's from my perspective, okay? I'm not going to speak for my colleagues, but I'm sure they may share the same perspective. From my perspective, when you do a parallel bid, right, which I think you do on any due diligence, if you're going to do something, you want to make sure that you're doing the best thing for the most people. And in a representative form of government, we might not all agree, but we're elected to do the best thing for the most people here in Middletown. That's what we're elected to do. Not making this change, if we decide to stay put and allow 2/3 out, 2/3 in, 1/3 out, the cost will increase to everyone. It will increase under the way the bids came in to the 2/3 of the people for their collection. Their cost will go up and their taxes will go up. If we decide to stay with the current district-wide, non-district-wide option, the cost of recycling for everybody in town through the municipal budget will go up significantly. So there will be a significant increase in costs for us to do business. If we choose to do business tonight, the way that we've done it for the past 50 years, there will be a significant cost increase. Now, all the trucks coming off the road, all the who uses what, that's all ancillary stuff. That's a benefit to some people, not a benefit to others. I totally agree with you. Totally agree with you. Listen, I'm a taxpayer too. Everybody here is too. I'm not in the district. I pay for private hauling right now.
I'm the only one in the district, the others aren't.
So at the end of the day, right, and my value, at the end of the day, the decision that I will make, when my turn to vote will be, is what is the best impact to the vast majority of Middletown. And right now, the numbers say that 86% or more of the people, of the households in this town, will see either a reduction in cost of what they're currently spending, definitely mitigating an increase, and potentially increase in service to 1/3 of the town who doesn't have that increase in service. So it's more than just personal choice. There's a lot of economics behind this decision that we have to make, and it's not one that we take lightly. And you may have saw that comment today from you, because I know you replied to it on that social media site. But the way I'm viewing this, and Everybody's gonna do it differently. It's not that I wanna keep it from you, not that I wanna keep it from the town. I didn't have anything to give you, right? But there's reasons for why we have to look at this now. It's because our contract expired on July 1st.
And someone said keeping it secret, that was not me.
Right.
It was more, like I'm saying, is, it just came to my attention today, so then it's like, oh, well, what about this, and what about that, and what was the driving force? And are we really saving that much in comparison
Yes.
to the work that needs to be done to totally, flip this over?
The simple applicability to this is that since we bid in both fashions, in district and township wide, understanding that all costs are going to increase on an annual basis and certainly going to increase over a 5-year contract. I think you would agree, right? So, so the question becomes, as a governing body, if we have our choices to apply those same costs, which would increase to 2/3 of our residents, or take advantage of an economy of scale to apply it township-wide, 68,000 persons, okay? What is the better advantage for the entirety of the town? And as our administrator mentioned, upon the applicability of an economy of scale, which is not happening on 60% of the town, but would happen on 100% of the town, any cost increases, right, are dissipated or minimized throughout the entire town as opposed to through only 60% of the residents. So the question becomes, given those options as a governing body, it becomes what may be the better choice, understanding that there will always be, similar to insurance, similar to a gallon of milk, there will always be price increases. And the question becomes, how do we mitigate or reduce those price increases so that the majority of the town can benefit? And that's part of the matrix.
And the cost savings is coming from the fact that whoever you decide to go with says, yes, I want this bid, so I'm going to charge a lesser amount.
Well, the cost savings are comparative, right? So again, understand that we went out for parallel bids. One was for the district-wide, which was about 2/3 of the township. One was for the township-wide. So on all things being even, right? If you applied the same unit, the unit cost would be lower among more people than it would be among fewer people. Right? It's just very simple analysis. Number one. Number two, there's something that Committee Fury and the administrator mentioned as far as bulk trash pickups. Now, those bulk trash pickups, when we talk about net savings to 86% of the township, those calculations don't include the net cost of a bulk trash pickup on average at a very minimal expense. It's going to be at least $50. If you called up your private hauler and said, look, I want you to pick up one item, okay? It's $50. It's $50. They don't care what they're picking up. So even if you applied that on an annual basis, even if you had a trash pickup once every 2 months, it's still a $300 value that you have to buy as a private.
But how often do people?
That's what I'm saying. But even the point is, and we haven't, and the analysis that we reviewed, in all fairness, doesn't add that value, right? It doesn't add. So it doesn't add value, but you'll still receive that when you want to use it. Even if you used it once a year, you still have it.
I know, as I said, I use Kingsland, I bring my metal chairs that I'm throwing out, my plastic, anything that they take, and I use that facility, so, I wouldn't want to see these benefits take away from that at all, where people just, they want the convenience of putting it on their curbside as opposed to, stuff is just being hauled away and thrown in the trash as opposed to encouraging recycling.
It does encourage recycling. One thing you were talking about, how do you actually save money doing it this way? Just, you got to remember and think about the logic of things. Our garbage district isn't like a line drawn through the middle of the town. It's like patchwork. So the people who are in the garbage district live in various parts of town, and then there's gaps in between where they're not. So the various companies that are out there providing services, they're driving through the town anyway. It's just that they have to drive through sections where they don't pick anything up to get to another section where they are. So if you start thinking about that, the economy's already out on the road anyway. That's how, when you have a larger number of customers, you're able to reduce the cost overall per customer. So basically what we come down to, we have two choices because we have bids, right? One option is to raise costs for everyone in the township, and the other is to lower costs for 86% of people in the township. What would you vote for, right?
One last question though is, in this bid, is there any kind of stipulation to whoever you select to have them not, again, outsource?
Yeah, so it's very strict. One of the reasons there's a lag time is because a contractor who's going to take on Middletown solely has to gear up for that. So they have to buy equipment, so that's why there's time now, this begins January. So we realize that they have to bulk up, or whoever takes the job has to be prepared to do it. There's lots of performance criteria within the contract. They have to perform to a certain level. They can't subcontract out various work, or if they were to, they'd have to come back and renegotiate something. So there's a strong emphasis on performance. So they have to be able to have the resources to cover all of Middletown, or else they shouldn't bid. And the companies out there are pretty savvy, pretty large.
We did hire a consultant to also give us the viewpoint of the companies that can handle the size. So we even broke it out to allow smaller companies to take a section of town. I don't know if you got any bids for that.
No.
Right, so we did allow the local vendors to bid on a section of town. And you know, so it's a tough call. I hear what you're saying. I think we all do. You know, I'd like it to be 100% of everybody benefits with a net savings, and you know, look, on your very high values, that might not be the case, right? But or if you cut a deal with a current provider at an introductory rate, that might not always be the case. Everything's going to be different, right? But
So I found the exception to most of those rules. I only have one can, one pickup a day. As I said, I heavily recycle just about everything.
There you go, too.
so the only other benefit to you potentially, if we go that way, if we go this way, is you get to have it tax deductible now versus yes, we did not. Now I'm not sure what that means. That's going to mean different things for different people, right?
So, just because it doesn't affect me personally like that, doesn't mean I don't feel the need to voice an opinion. Because we are a community, you guys have said that time and time again, one community, so why can't the community have input?
This is fantastic, we need more of you. So don't feel bad about coming up. And one thing I'm going to point out too, that we have a few months before this would start, so we are going to have various forums where we'll walk people through the transition. I've been from the non-garbage district where I had my own Franklin waste, for years and years. And then I moved to the garbage district. So now I don't have to write a check every quarter, So I made the adjustment in this time. Yeah.
I've been in Middletown 27 years.
And the other thing to keep in mind with regard to guarantees is the bid prices, all the contractors, the bidders have to post a bid bond. So essentially they have to honor the amount that they've noted that they do the project for, or do the contract for. Similarly, on an annual basis, they need to post a performance bond, which for example, in the middle of 1 year, if they go out of business, the performance bond that the township would entitle the township to reach out to the bonding company to continue that service so it's uninterrupted. So those are the two bonds that the township would own on an annual basis to make certain that the trash does get taken up, regardless of whether that company can sustain it.
The other question that you asked was, what are you going to do about the additional cost of cans, right?
Yeah,
So
in
in the bid spec for the townwide option, either way, the bid spec for the townwide recycling is garbage. There's a recycling can to be provided by the township. So the township in this bid, in the current numbers that have all those savings that the administrator spoke about, does include a 96-gallon garbage can, correct, Ted? And a 96-gallon recycling can with a RFID on it so that they can tell if the garbage truck picked up your can or not, so.
But there's still, so does that mean, I don't know, so whoever the vendor is, they will provide the can at no cost?
Correct. It's already.
Because I know I paid.
It's already in the cost.
Damage, got run over.
It's already in the cost of this.
All right, well, thank you, been very helpful.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else who would care to speak to this particular issue? Okay, thank you. Oh.
I just want to say, My name is
County Drive in Middletown. When I heard about this today on social media, I was very excited because I've been here my entire life, 10 years, and we've always been in a private garbage area. And I know people who have the township garbage, and I've always envied them. So when I heard this, I mean, we're talking about garbage, but
Not something we hear often enough.
yeah.
Boy, my jealousy of garbage.
But I am for this. I just had a big issue with my garbage company and have recently changed because for some reason they decided they just randomly didn't pick up my garbage. When I wanted, call them about it, they're going to send out an extra truck. But having 2 weeks, I never got an extra truck. So I changed my garbage company. So there's, issues with private garbage also. So, but I'm for it. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, is there anyone else who would like to comment on this particular resolution? Okay.
Just read this before you move. I just want to read this because there were a number of options just so that everyone's clear for the public benefit and the governing body's benefit. That resolution 17-241, resolution awarding contract for solid waste and recycling collection services, is a resolution that would award a township-wide contract for both the collection of, and I'm not reading verbatim from the summarizing resolution, would be the option for a township-wide collection of both recycling and solid waste, and that the lowest responsive bidder, and for a 5-year term, I should add as well, because there were options. So for recycling and solid waste on a township-wide basis collection for a 5-year term, the lowest responsive bidder for that option was Central Jersey Waste, combined bid for that 5-year term of $21,731,400. So that is the lowest responsive bid for the 5-year township-wide solid waste and recycling collection.
Move for adoption of resolution 17-241.
Second.
Committeeman Fury.
Yes.
Committeeman Sal.
Yes.
Committeeman Sedambrino.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Murray.
Yes.
Mayor Sharpenberg.
Yes.
Motion carries to adopt resolution 17-241. This time, we have township committee comments.
Okay, Mr. Massell, it's not in, let's say.
Thank you, Mayor. Start by apologizing for being late. Just 2 quick comments. I attended the 9/11 memorial, and something that never gets easier. It's certainly not this year. On that note, someone else mentioned Chief McCarthy, who was a historic figure in passing of Chief McCarthy. I just wanted to mention went to his funeral. He was an icon in Middletown, and it was very sad to see his passing. Aside from that, thank you. That's all.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Sedambrino, you're up.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. A few comments. I did, as well as Committee himself, attend the 9/11 memorial. And the one comment that I'll make on it is on since it's not a 10-year anniversary, the tribute this remembrance was a silent one. And I think, frankly, it gives everyone involved in that day the ability to reflect on what's most important to them, rather than for hearing speeches of people that are telling them what they think may be most important to them at that day. So I think those events are more powerful than frankly, the ones in which there were speeches and people speaking. So that was very powerful. Independence. Number 2, this evening, as you just heard, we did vote on a township-wide trash and recycling pickup. And I think this vote will move the town forward in a positive direction and will begin to utilize an economy of scale for the entire township so that the majority of the town can see cost savings. And I was glad to be part of that vote to move that ahead in terms of policy decision. The last item this evening there is, as you mentioned earlier, the provided proclamation for Middletown Day is coming up on Saturday, and we will all be there at 11 o'clock there. So we hope to see you there on Saturday. And that's all I have this evening, Mayor. Thank you.
And your kids are just about the right age.
They will be there.
Mr. Fiore, you're up.
Thank you, Mayor. Just briefly to echo but not repeat the comments of my two colleagues, I do want to thank the Office of Administration and everyone that put the 9/11 ceremony together this year. As always, one that's a very solemn tribute to our residents that we lost during one of the greatest tragedies in our nation's history, and it's definitely the greatest tragedy in our township's history. That Gardens, in which I am a trustee of the memorial, is just a tremendous tribute to our 37 brothers and sisters and fellow townspeople that we lost during 9/11, and I really appreciate the amount of people that continue to come out, whether we have it at 8:30 in the morning or we have it at 7:30 at night. It is just magnificent to see the community pay their respects to those and reflect on that day. So thank you to everybody who put that together. I know there's a lot of work that goes into that. Just briefly, it really is timely as we look at National Preparedness Month, and we had Charlie Rogers here, who does a tremendous job with our Office of Emergency Management and his crew there. And as you see from these storms that are, ravaged both Texas and also Florida, it gives a sobering reminder of how much we went through in 2011 and 2012, because there was damage from Hurricane Irene that many people had to go through also. So another reminder for all of our residents to be prepared. But also, I think it's also a reminder of the things 5 years as we embark on the 5-year anniversary of Sandy, of how much more prepared and resilient this township is than we were 5 years ago next month. And you go down to Port Monmouth right now and look at some of the projects with the Port Monmouth flood controls, and things that are being done there to help mitigate potential flooding. Looking at the houses and how they've been rebuilt to be more to have elevation to not be at as much of a flood risk. It's great to see Port Monmouth. It's great to see North Middletown, the Ideal Beach area where there was significant damage on Grand Avenue. It's great to see Leonardo really come back to life. And I know this committee, myself included, will not rest until everybody is back and restored 100% post-Sandy in a much more resilient way. Which leads me to my final point, which is I had the pleasure of attending a ceremony, or actually a press conference, not ceremony, in Port Monmouth at the spot. I think I met the Lieutenant Governor when I was mayor to come take the first tour, which led to 4 more tours by the Governor. With the BPU, and the mayor hosted a press conference about a potential microgrid. And I can't tell you how important electricity is until you lose it. I think we all have realized that over the last few years. But the ability for us to have this potential microgrid, I think, will go and just go miles in terms of us being able to be more resilient in that type of emergency situation. And to be fair, a comment that I will make, I think, we are battling other power lines here on this side of town, which, were presented to us as a Sandy alternative and something that would have gotten us back faster during Sandy, which, upon our investigation, I believe to be false after, everything that I've heard on the MCRP. But that microgrid, if we were able to get done, I think we should really be promoting those types of projects, which I do think would have a benefit without 250-foot or 150-foot monopoles that won't have an impact in this township. So thank you, Mayor. I was elected tonight, and I'll address that.
Deputy Mayor Marty, you're up.
Thank you. I'm just going to make 3 very quick positive points. The mayor and I had the honor of attending the rededication of the Vietnam Veterans Memorial on Harkins Drive off Palmer Road, Middletown. A lot of people might not even realize it's there. But we have a tremendous Veterans Affairs Committee that has been doing a ton of great work in town, but most recently they've been researching all of the monuments in town, and upon coming up to the Vietnam Memorial, they realized that 3 names were missing. So I believe it was Mr. Uris from Uris Monuments who dedicated or donated his time, and he did put, he does so much for the town. He engraved the 3 names onto that monument of the Middletown residents who perished during that war, and it was a very moving and beautiful tribute that many people in the community came out to attend, so it was really, really lovely. Another great point, I know Heidi can be excited about this, we're moving forward with our heritage tourism. The tours that we've had in the village section of town have been tremendously successful, and we're continuing to raise the bar with that. On October 13th, 5 to 9 p.m., we're going to be offering carriage rides, and there'll be some nice autumnal events on the lawn of the MAC. So definitely sign up for that, because they have been filling up very quickly. We are very pleased about that, and hope to be launching some more tours in the other areas of town next year. And final point is about Middletown Day. I'm going to be there all day, so come by, say hi, talk to me. As well as most of my colleagues, I think, will be there most of the day as well. The one point that I think often people forget to make when we talk about Middletown Day, something to be very proud of, is 100% fundraised. So all of that money is fundraised by the community, our fantastic, inclusive, wonderful community that people really come out and support it. There's usually, I think the estimates, what are they, Tony, like 12 to 18,000 people every year come out on Middletown Day. So it's a true community day, and it's something we're very proud of. So I'll see you guys there, I hope. Thanks.
Okay. A couple of things. Last week we had the Police Explorers program sign up, and some of the deputy chiefs asked me, and the chief asked me to come and say a few words, and I walked into the courtroom here, and it was overflowing. It was an incredible turnout. And I think we had a little over 70 young men and women sign up for the program. And it's really a great program because it gives young people a taste and appreciation of what the police department does for the community and the inner workings of it. So it really is a very gratifying program, I think, and it's apparently very popular because the turnout is extraordinary. So we're very happy about that. It's a good way for the community and the police to interact. So I'm sure they'll have a great time. The Deputy Mayor and I also attended the unveiling of the Craig Bars Memorial up in Ideal Beach. And some of you may remember, and I know Committeeman Marcel went to school with him. And Ted, you too, right, with Craig? Yeah. And Craig Bars is one of our deputy chiefs who passed away several years ago at age 45 from cancer. And just a horrible loss for the town here. He was one of the more beloved members of the administration here. And he did a lot of work up in the northern part of town in Ideal Beach, and they were very grateful to his service, and they created a beautiful monument. So it was really very moving, and his father and mother and father were there. So a sad note, but certainly a nice way to remember somebody who was really taken way too soon. We get to do a lot of ribbon cuttings around town, and one of the ribbon cuttings I did was actually a 40th anniversary for a florist called Flower Power, and in Campbell's Junction, and just great owners, very proud of their 40-year history. So it's always nice to do those sort of things. I didn't touch anything. It's always nice to do those sort of things and recognize businesses that have been so successful. And small businesses are really the backbone of the country, and certainly here in Middletown. So we like to see them succeed, and it's always good to see the community support these small local businesses. Another ribbon cutting I did was for the Mighty Car Care facility. Many of you may know it on 36 around Thompson Avenue. And it's a great, great young Middletown family, a husband and wife, and 3 adorable children. And very proud of the facility, put a lot of money into it. And from what I understand, they're doing quite well. The neighborhood is really supporting them. So again, it's always nice to see a successful business in the making like that. And I can't do enough of them. A couple of Eagle Scout ceremonies, 2 Eagle Scouts, 2 separate ceremonies since our last meeting. Kate Riegler and Steve Gardner, and these kids do a great job, kids. They're young men now. And Steve, I know, did some work at St. Mary's Church. If you go into the entrance there, he did a lot of the landscaping and, fixed a couple of fences. So they always do a great job. And Middletown has a very, very active and very productive scouting program, and we're very happy to support them. It's kind of an unusual situation, and I met Father Luigi, who's an Augustine monk. And they apparently took over a former Episcopalian church on the aptly named Church Street, right off of Route 36. Beautiful old stone church. And Father Luigi is actually on, or going to be appointed to the Middletown Municipal Alliance. And what he and the group of monks who he oversees initiated 2 programs. One is a food pantry, which the Chief Weber and I did the ribbon cutting for on Sunday. And also a program that helps the parents of heroin addicts, or I should say substance abuse parents. And it really is, unfortunately, a much needed program, but again, it's great. It fits in with our faith-based initiative where these private charitable organizations do things that government would ordinarily have to pick up. So it's smaller government, but also smarter government, partnering with these private organizations. They do a great job, and he's a real live wire, so the neighborhood really loves him. Chief McCarthy, I want to say a few words about him, who I got very friendly with over the years, and he was certainly a very colorful local figure, and legendary in this town. I guess those Springsteen fans know Chief McCarthy's name. He was the guy who pulled the plug on Springsteen over at Clearwater, right? And somewhere the arrest report is still down in the police department. So, but guy who ate, slept, and breathed Middletown, and he would call me up if he thought something could be better or something I needed to know. And I'm going to miss him. He was 92 years old, a World War II vet, and certainly epitomized the greatest generation moniker that we give to the World War II generation. And finally, the 9/11 ceremony. When I first drove up Middletown Lincoln Road and I saw the big crowd, I was shocked. It's sort of off-year memorial. And it was a Freudian slip, but I know the families want to get past the memorial part and sort of a tribute. And we got a lot of tremendous comments from some of the widows and widowers and children of those who were lost, that the Middletown Memorial is not only the place that they come to, probably the greatest compliment that we could have gotten was from the son of one of the women killed, who's now a grown man with his own baby son, I think. And if you go into the monuments and you see, I love you, Grandma, that's him. And he said that the memorial means more to him than her actual gravesite, and just because it's so personal and so reflective of the way she was. So I think there were between 400 and 500 all told people there, and really just very moving, beautiful, and aggravating at the same time that we even need one of those. So with that, thank you very much, and now we're going to open up to public comment. Hold on, I just want to point out, everybody who comes up, who wants to speak, to please say your name and address for the record, and please keep your comments in 5 minutes so we make sure everybody gets a chance to speak and get home and watch the Giants beat the Lions. Okay.
Dave Littenberg, 113 Lane. I just want to continue the positive say that I'm very impressed with, I think, more citizens should come to these meetings and find out what goes on. The proclamations, the positive attitude, I think Deputy Mayor Marie said I got 3 positive things to say, but everyone up here has very positive things to say in this community. And I'm here to thank the committee and Ted Maloney and their wives, and the attorney, Brian Nelson, Tony, for helping us get realize something that we really wanted for the village green in Lincroft. I can tell you now that the Pickwick Wells has acquired the municipal permits and the state permits, and they're going to be digging the well over there beginning September 27th. So this is great that you work with us and help us out, and you're always there when I'm needing you, and I hope to be here when you need me. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And you know, just to follow up what you said, it's frustrating to us too that we don't get more people, to the meetings. In a way, that's a good thing, because people don't generally come out to say everything's fine, and then go back home. But unfortunately, communication's not what it once was. We used to have newspapers, 3 or 4 of them here, cover every meeting, and things would get into the paper that way. Now if I run over a chipmunk, it's on the front page of the news, on the paper. Salt Kettering comes in, it's on page 13 somewhere. So that's the unfortunate part. But there are a lot of good things. I mean, we had a tax decrease this year. #1 safest city in New Jersey. Top 10 in the country. We have a beautifully renovated shopping center with new businesses. Ideal Beach, a lot of improvements done there. Salt Kettering, so much good going on that it's frustrating at times that we don't get that coverage the way we would like. And not for us, but just for people's own edification, because God knows you read enough bad stuff. You need some good stuff once in a while.
That safely started with a cheap car. I remember it.
Yeah. Thanks, Andy. Anybody else care to speak? Yes, ma'am. And I said, yeah, I don't think I'm going to need a gavel, so.
That's right. Hi, I'm Cynthia Bianchi from 216 Beach Avenue in Leonardo. And to continue positive remarks, I want to just first say that I was so happy to hear about what's going on down at the Belford Seafood Co-op, and thank you very much, everybody who's arranging this project. Number 2, I have an idea which I think would be an easy solution to a problem that affects not many people, but some people in Middletown now. This has to do with people who were survivors of Hurricane Sandy. I understand that the state of New Jersey is very anxious that all of the cities and towns of New Jersey, including Middletown, make sure that properties that have to be elevated are going to be elevated, and that if some of these properties have been damaged, sustained substantial damage after the hurricane, people fixed up the houses, they put them in good shape, they're going to sell them now. We want the new people to be aware that that the state wants this, and Middletown wants it. The new people have to be made aware that they are going to have to raise the house. So the state has left it to the towns to figure out how they're going to do this, apparently. And Middletown has decided that they'll put like a sticker on the window that will alert new buyers to the fact that they will have to raise their houses. And I think a very good idea would be if we come up with a sticker that is appropriate to this situation, that is a sticker that does not harm, that does not do harm to the sale of the house for the seller. And here's what I'm referring to. Recently, a week ago, it came to my attention that an elderly couple in Middletown who had survived Hurricane Sandy, but their house was damaged, they spent a lot of money and a lot of effort fixing it up. They are now trying to sell it. And a week ago, a sticker was put on their house. A big, scary orange sticker that says, this house was substantially damaged. Before transferring title, contact the Middletown. And of course, this puts more than a damper on the possibility of selling the house. This is tragic when it comes to the kind of price a person is going to get for the house. So that this was actually the same sticker that was put on houses that were substantially damaged, like my own, after the hurricane, because those houses were in terrible shape at the time. However, today, 5 years later, these people, some people, were able to repair their houses, have not been able to raise them. They're trying to sell it. The new buyer will have to raise it. So we in Middletown are required to do something to let the new buyer know that he has to raise it. And we decided to put a sticker on the house. Well, instead of a sticker like that, that makes it almost impossible for people to sell their house for the market value that they should be getting, because it's too scary. If a buyer comes up to a house and sees a sticker that it looks like this property is condemned, it just says, I can tell you what it says. It says, this property is substantially damaged. That's all it says. It doesn't say you have to raise a house or anything like that. So it's not doing what we want it to do. What it's just doing is hurting the value of the property. Why not just put up it? Why not just devise a new sticker? It wouldn't cost much. A new sticker doesn't have to be a scary orange one. It could be white or yellow or blue. All it has to say is, elevation notice, or before transfer of property, contact Middletown for elevation requirements, something like that. That would be directly to the point, and it would not give potential buyers the idea that the house is severely damaged. Because even if the real estate agent and the owner say to the buyer, oh, that doesn't really mean, that damage has been repaired, they really only want me to raise the house. I, as a buyer, am going to say, oh no, there's a sticker on this house for a reason. Why is the sticker here?
Cindy, you've spoken to Joe about this, right?
Yes, I have. And Joe, of course, is very nice, and they all mean well. But he's not a real estate agent. I am. And anybody who has tried to sell a house, their own house, or wants to buy a house, would understand the effect that this particular sticker, I'm saying, has on the resale of the house. Joe is right. You want to put something there that is going to notify the new buyer that he has to elevate the house. This is legitimate. This is real. Let's just make up a new sticker.
Let's just be clear about this. One of the major purposes of the sticker, a lot of these properties, where the search is going are not occupied. And so there's just real estate signs popping up on them. So the sticker is as much of a real estate agent as anyone else, because we don't want to run into a situation where somebody buys a house and then after the fact find out that they have to elevate it and it wasn't disclosed to them. And the issue that buyer now would be have to come up with $100,000 to elevate a house.
Correct.
So we have to do as much as we can to give people notice ahead of time. So even if the sticker said, the reality is anybody's looking to buy a house, you're going to walk into the house. So if the house has been renovated on the inside, they'll see that. But even if the sticker just says, this house has to be elevated before you buy it, it's the same effect. It's a $100,000 bill that they're looking at to raise the house. That's just as scary as an orange sticker. That's really what it's all about.
Oh, Tony, I just want to say, it's not the same effect, because elevating it is going to cost them $100,000. But when the sticker says this house is substantially damaged.
Well, the house was substantially damaged.
It was, but it's been.
Yeah, well, that doesn't mean that it's been fully repaired. Just because it looks better inside, just because the cosmetics have been done, it's still a substantially damaged house. No, it still is. Unless you fix it, unless you bring it into compliance, it's still a substantially damaged structure.
I'm referring to a building, a house that did come into compliance. In fact, there's a tenant in there. There was a CO on the property. I spoke to Joe Kaminsky, and he agreed that that the house was now up to par and everything was good about it. It just needs to be elevated. And he said, well, that sticker has to stay on there until it's elevated.
If there's a house that's occupied and it's been repaired other than being elevated, I'll talk to him about that. We can come up with a different kind of sticker.
sticker. It's really gonna have the same effect.
That's what I'm referring to, though, a house like that, which is different than one that's still damaged.
Yeah, maybe one, not one sticker for all. You know, so.
Brian might be there to say, I appreciate bringing this to our attention. I know we've had conversations about it, and nobody knows more about surviving Sandy than you and all the, what you had to go through in Leonardo. Tony, is there a way, I mean, we have the list of substantially damaged houses. Is there a way, and I don't know if there's a legal way, or if maybe we could petition the state for some kind of guidance or relief on it, is there a way that we can actually have to have the real estate agents disclose? Almost like if you buy next to a proposed nuclear power plant, you have to propose that you're going next to,
There's real estate law already that requires them to disclose anything that could affect the value of the property. And good luck trying to enforce it, though. It's really.
No, I understand that.
But what we've done is all owners of properties that were substantially damaged have received letters now.
No, I know that. I'm worried about the new law.
Yeah, so that's why the sticker, because you can't guarantee that the owner's going to tell the buyer, right? We're not part of the real estate transaction. So that's why there's a sticker that's very visible.
The real risk, and I hear you, and we can work something maybe out. The real risk for the municipality, for you, as a not just as a realtor, but as a homeowner in a flood zone here, the real risk of somebody not elevating a substantially damaged home in the time period that the government gives, which they gave the extension, is going to be, if you don't do it and we don't force it, it's going to negatively impact your flood insurance rate. So that's what they did down south. That's how this is all going to go down. They will take away our community rating system, and you'll see 200% to 300% increases in your flood insurance because your neighbor didn't elevate their house on substantial damage. So it's very tricky. So that's why I think, to the administrator's point, we have a real, we're being really ultra conservative to make sure that everybody knows and gets into compliance, because if they don't, it's really not fair for you to get impacted because somebody doesn't elevate, because you did the right thing and elevated your house. I mean, that would be the worst.
I was just recently talking to people from FEMA and DEP about this exact issue, how we're going to deal with it. And what they've said is that in addition to clearly potentially affecting the community rating system points that a municipality gets, if you have houses that are not in compliance, the other thing that's going to happen is they're going to notify people who own those properties that if there's another flood, their flood insurance is no longer effective because they didn't bring it into compliance after the first time. So they won't be insured. So then what you'll have is structure after structure in a community damaged with no ability to repair it because they won't have even flood insurance coverage. So then you're left with really dilapidated, unsafe homes. So, it's a big issue, and it's November 1st of 2018 is the deadline. One of the things we're trying to do right now is get a list of all the people who received REM grants, because it may be that people who received REM grants repaired their house but didn't elevate it. So now they're back living in a fixed-up house, they feel secure, but they still have to elevate the house. And they didn't use the money to elevate it, they used it to do other things. So we're trying to get a handle on exactly how many people are in that situation right now.
Oh, guys, Cindy, we're going to have to move on, because I maybe other people want to speak, but keep in touch with Joe, and we'll work something out. This is,
I'll talk
as much about as I need.
Thank you, John.
All right, thanks.
Everybody. Okay.
Is there anybody else who would like to speak? Okay, seeing no further members of the public come forward, move to close the public portion and move for adjournment.
Mayor McCrory.
Yes.
Mayor Michelle.
Yes.
Mayor Zambrino.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Murray.
Yes.
Yes.